So, last Friday, President Obama gave his last press conference as commander-in-chief. Yeah. Undeterred by his would-be successor's devastating loss to Donald Trump in the presidential election, unswayed by Republicans' complete domination of Congress, state legislatures, and governor mansions, he maintained his cool and collected self-aggrandizement. Why not? According to Obama, Obama has been a massive success. Perhaps the most hilarious moment of delusion came when he talked about terrorism. He said, "Over the past 8 years, no foreign terrorist organization has successfully executed an attack on our homeland that was directed from overseas." He then continued, saying no attack had been executed in a rainstorm, with the attacker driving a tractor with one hand, drinking a Miller High Life with the other, wearing a clown nose. To be fair, Obama didn't actually say that last part, but he may as well have. In order to define away the problem of terrorism that has grown dramatically worldwide on his watch, he simply spoke of terrorism as a problem of organized groups within defined territories, which is not how terrorism actually works. Terrorist groups can recruit without formal structures. They can operate as independent cells within various countries. Just 3 days after Obama's statements, an alleged jihadi plowed a truck into a Christmas market in Berlin. The same day, a Turkish terrorist murdered the Russian ambassador to Turkey. These latest attacks are not outliers. In the past several years, we've seen terrorist attacks in Turkey and Germany and Belgium and Great Britain and Canada and Australia, among others. This sort of terrorism isn't relegated to foreign countries, of course. Here's an incomplete list of radical Islam-related terror attacks and attempts on American soil under Obama. Shootings of American military recruiters in Little Rock, Arkansas, the massacre at Fort Hood, the Boston Marathon bombing, an attempted bombing of the airport in Wichita, Kansas, hatchet attacks on New York City police officers, attempted shootings at the Draw Muhammad event in Garland, Texas, the attacks on military recruiters in Chattanooga, Tennessee, the massacre at the San Bernardino Inland Regional Center, the Orlando nightclub shooting, the New York and New Jersey bombings, and the Ohio State University car attack, just to name some. Obama still thinks he can cover his abysmal record with closely drawn definitions of terrorism, which is the equivalent of Bill Clinton saying he's been faithful to his wife, except for certain areas, like sex, which is technically true so far as it goes, but it just doesn't go all that far. Americans know that, and they reacted to Obama's consistent lying by omission by electing Trump, a man who needs pretty much no evidence to jump to conclusions. Obama is so careful to avoid spotting fact patterns, he simply omits inconvenient data points. Trump is so eager to spot fact patterns, he simply includes convenient non-data points. But Americans would actually rather have Trump's jump to conclusions mentality than Obama's avoid conclusions at all cost mentality. Trump's mentality may lead to mistakes, but those mistakes are less likely to cost Western lives. So Obama can hawk his faux sophistication on terrorism as much as he wants. If Democrats want to ensure that Republicans continue to win elections, they ought to follow his lead. I'm Ben Shapiro. This is The Ben Shapiro Show. Alrighty, so we are back. Woo! We're back for this shortened Christmas week. Sorry, I was on the road a little bit. There's a picture that's going around of me and Ted Cruz, and we are both laughing at something. I will let you guess as to what it is that we are laughing about. But nonetheless, there's a lot to get to. A lot has happened in my absence. You leave for 2 days, and the world is on fire. Of course, when I'm here, the world's also on fire. Unlike Andrew Klavan, I will not attribute all world events to my absence from the political scene. But we have to begin today by saying hello to one of our advertisers, Texture.com. So Texture, this is a great service, it's a great app, and what it allows you to do is you pay $9.99 a month, and what you get in return is access to over 200 magazines. You get 200 magazines, so you're not paying for a separate subscription to each magazine, because the truth is you don't want to read every article in Time or every article in Newsweek or every article in Sports Illustrated. You want to read the ones that you want to read, and Texture allows you to do that. So for people who are kind of reading junkies like me, people who just have to have information poured into their brain using enormous silos, Texture is the place for you. Texture.com/Ben. That gets you a 14-day free trial. And it is a great service. I mean, the list of magazines is really, really long. They give you access to all of these magazines, so not just one. You can check back issues. You can view bonus video content. They curate articles and magazines just for you, so that you can access just the stuff you want to see. It's stuff ranging from Sports Illustrated and Entertainment Weekly to Vanity Fair and Rolling Stone and Cosmo. And the great thing, again, is that you don't have to buy a subscription to Cosmo. You can just read the stupid article that Cosmo posted about the Gaines family, or you can go to Reader's Digest and read that while you're on the toilet. Texture makes sure that you get access to all of these magazines wherever you are. It really is a fantastic service. Texture.com/Ben. Okay, so while I was gone, the Democrats decided that it would be a great idea to double down on everything terrible that they ever thought about anything, which is just a genius move. One day, thousands of years from now, people will look back and they will see that Americans liked Lena Dunham, or at least some Americans liked Lena Dunham, for example, and they will say to themselves, why? Just why? Like, why Lena Dunham? Why? There is no answer. I mean, those are cosmic questions that people will be asking themselves generations from now. But the Democrats are addicted to Lena Dunham. They love Lena Dunham because they love people who have the charisma and the brains and the looks of a russet potato. But apparently, the left just loved. So Lena Dunham was at the DNC, as you recall. They loved her so much they put her on stage at the DNC, and here is what that looked like.
I am a pro-choice, feminist, sexual assault survivor with a chronic reproductive illness. Donald Trump and his party think I should be punished for exercising my constitutional rights. His rhetoric about women takes us back to a time when we were meant to be beautiful and silent. Meanwhile, 22 years ago, Hillary Clinton declared that women's rights are human rights.
Okay, so one of the more delicious elements of this election cycle has been watching Lena Dunham's continued mental meltdown over Donald Trump's victory. Well, now Lena Dunham says that she wishes that she had had an abortion, right? She says she wishes that she had had an abortion. She said, apparently, she informed her audience on her podcast that while she's never had an abortion personally, she wishes she had so she could do her part to reduce stigma around the issue. And she said, I can say I still haven't had an abortion, but I wish I had. Wow. Okay, so if Democrats are looking to win Americans, probably the best way to do that is not to trot out at the DNC the lady who says that she wished that she had had a baby in her stomach, in her uterus, just so that she could murder the baby, so that she could feel the solidarity and joy of having murdered a baby. I mean, it really is pretty egregious stuff. Democrats usually have the brains to cover up their enthusiasm about abortion. They usually have the brains to say things like Bill Clinton's safe, legal, and rare, or it's a tragic decision a woman has to make, right? Ignoring, of course, the fact that if it's a tragic decision, then you shouldn't be allowed to do it, right? The whole idea of legalizing abortion rests on the notion that it's not a tragic decision. It's the same thing as removing a polyp. But the Democrats usually don't speak in that sort of language because they understand that it alienates people. But Lena Dunham full-on embraces it. She says that she wishes that she'd had an abortion so she could be part of the select sisterhood of women who have engaged and pursued the use of the right to murder a baby in her womb. If this is the sort of thing that Democrats think is going to win elections, by all means, they should continue to push it, because the fact is the vast majority of Americans don't think that abortion is a pro-social thing to do. They don't think that abortion is a good thing to do. Even people who are pro-choice generally don't think abortion is a good thing. They may think it's a necessary thing, but most of them don't think it's a good thing because most of them still have a basic semblance of discomfort with abortion. She actually said on this podcast that was one of the reasons she wishes she had had one, because people were talking about their abortions and she felt uncomfortable. Because deep down in Lena Dunham's body, there still resides a small spark of godly soul that says to her, yeah, you should be uncomfortable with people killing babies. And she says, I want to extinguish that by presumably getting pregnant and killing the baby. She's now come out and apologized, because whenever Democrats get caught doing stuff, they come out and apologize falsely. But that's, of course, what she thinks. And that's not the only way in which Democrats have lost their minds and are doubling down on everything radical that they can possibly conceive of. The other thing that came out over the last couple of days is, of course, this insane video from MTV. So MTV released a video of a bunch of people who you would never want to associate with in real life. Like people who, you just look at them and how smug and self-satisfied they are, and you think, I would not want to be within 100 miles of these folks. MTV released a video of resolutions for white guys for 2017. They're telling you what your resolutions should be, because there's nothing more ideologically fascistic than telling other people what they should aspire to be in the coming year. Here's MTV informing you. Remember when MTV used to put on music videos? Remember that? Yeah, not anymore. This is what it is now.
It's about to be a new year, and there's a few things we think you could do a little bit better in 2017.
First off, try to recognize that America was never great for anyone who wasn't a white guy.
Can we all just agree that Black Lives Matter isn't the opposite of All Lives Matter?
Okay, so, sorry, Austin is running back and forth to TV screen to computer. It's amusing to watch. I'm going to continue this pattern. I love that the first gal gets up and says, can we agree America was never great for anyone who wasn't a white male? No, we can't agree on that at all. As a Jew, with ancestors who were Jews, I can pretty much agree America's the greatest country that God ever created. And by the way, for black people living in today's America, America's the greatest country that God ever created. And even during Jim Crow, America was a much better country for black people than the vast majority of countries around the world, which is not a case in favor of Jim Crow, God forbid. But to suggest that America was never great for anybody except white men is just a bunch of crap. I mean, how about white women, by the way? White women have had it better in America than any place else on earth. I mean, America is heaven for white women. I mean, white women now earn more than white men. White women are going to college at a higher rate than white men. Even in the supposedly horrific, terrible, horrible, terrible 50s, women were actually pretty happy, if you look at the polls, of female satisfaction, because they were living in a prosperous country. And what a bunch of nonsense. And then this woman says, can we just agree that Black Lives Matter doesn't just mean Black Lives Matter? All Lives Matter is not a response to Black Lives Matter. No, because the entire Black Lives Matter movement is predicated on the notion that black lives are specifically under different assault than other lives in the United States by white people, and that is not true. And then I do love the fact that where they go next in this MTV video is they say, Black Lives Matter, all lives matter is not a proper response to Black Lives Matter, because of course all lives matter, but we're just talking about black lives now. And then the next thing they say is that not all lives matter.
Black lives just matter. There's no need to overcomplicate it.
Also, blue lives matter isn't a thing.
Cops weren't born with blue skin, right? I mean, yeah, they weren't born blue.
Stop bragging about being woke. Stop saying woke.
Learn what mansplaining is, and then stop doing it.
Oh, and if you're a judge, don't prioritize the well-being of...
Making Austin run back and forth is really amusing. Okay, so don't use woke. Okay, how about you stop using woke? It's obnoxious and no one knows what the hell you're talking about. Yeah, oh, you're woke. Woke to what? Did you awake? Did you wake up? What? Why are you using a passive verb in place of an active one? In any case, I do love the idea. Don't use woke. Also, stop mansplaining to us. Stop mansplaining to us. Mansplaining is the stupidest word that anyone ever created, mansplaining. Okay, it's called an explanation. If a man is doing it and it is worthwhile, that does not mean that he's doing it as a man. Okay, men used to have a word for women-splaining. It was called nagging. Okay, this routine, but honestly, it's such silliness. I mean, continue it, because these people desperately. This is Donald Trump's re-election ad right here, and it's fun to watch.
An Ivy League athlete over the woman he assaulted.
We all love Beyonce, and yeah, she's black, so of course she cares about black issues. I'm talking to you, Fox News.
Feel free to take Kanye West, though. You guys can have him.
You know what you did, Kanye.
Nobody who has black friends says that they have black friends.
And just because you have black friends doesn't mean you're not racist. You can be racist with black friends.
Look, guys, we know nobody's perfect.
But honestly, you could do a little better in 2017.
Some of you guys do a great job. Some of you don't.
Please, because 2016 is bad. 2017 can't be worse than this, all right? Because this is bad.
Okay, I'm going to listen to the black guy with the cat on his shirt telling me about what it means to be a better person because he's a black guy with a cat on his shirt. That's basically what this comes down to, right? I mean, this video comes down to, it's a bunch of not white males lecturing white males, and that's okay because they have moral superiority because they're not white males. Here's my question. What do these people actually do? Does anyone know any of these people? Like, I don't know any of these people. I don't know them from Adam. I don't care what color they are or what their sex is. It doesn't matter to me. Do they do decent things? I mean, for all I know, these people, there's a series of axe murderers that they went to San Quentin and dragged out of prison to lecture white males. The idea that these folks are granted some extra legitimacy because of their color or because of their sex, what a bunch of absolute nonsense. I also love the fact, there's an irony to the fact that you have the one guy saying, just because you don't say you have black friends, that doesn't mean that you're not a racist. And then this entire video is built around the concept that because they're showing a bunch of black people, showing some black people and some Hispanic people, some Asian people, because they're showing various diverse people, that means they can be racist against white people. Right, so there's a certain irony to that as well. But again, all of this is designed not to win elections. It is designed to further polarize the population. They think that demographically, in the next election cycle, they're going to have some advantages because they think that by 2020, millennials will represent, people who are currently millennials will represent 40% of the voting base. They think that the Hispanic base is going to grow. They think that they're just going to out-demographics the rest of the United States. But it turns out that that's not how politics works. As late as 2 years ago, Democrats were saying we'd never win. Well, 6 months ago, Democrats were saying Republicans would never win another presidential election. In 2008, their idea was Republicans would never win back Congress. By 2010, they had. People are people. They have ideas. Their brains function. And they're not just a set of physical characteristics on the outside. And so you can't just suggest that white people are bad and everybody else is good and then hope to win elections. That's not how any of this works. But again, Democrats don't know this, and so they keep doubling down on the stupid. One of the more amusing sights over the weekend, by the way, was Bill Clinton on Monday cast his electoral vote. He was one of the electors from New York, and he was hoping he'd be casting the winning electoral votes for Hillary. He cast his electoral votes, and he wept as he realized that Hillary would now be lurking around Chappaqua some more, and he'd have to find a different outhouse to stash his mistress.
Yeah, but I've never cast a vote I was prouder of. You know, I watched her work for 2 years. I watched her battle through that bogus email deal, be vindicated at the end when Secretary Powell's vote came out. She fought through that. She fought through everything. And she prevailed against it all. But, you know, then at the end we had the Russians and the FBI deal, but she couldn't prevail against that. She did everything else and still won by 2.8 million votes.
What cost on the election, Mr.
Thanks, guys. We got to rush.
Look, that's up to the experts. The finest vote counter in America is Nate Silver. He told you what cost of the election.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, and then Bill Clinton, by the way, said that Trump only knows how to win angry white males. That was his summation of the election. Bill should know, since that was a large part of his base in 1992 and 1996, where the same dispossessed white folks that voted for Trump voted for Bill Clinton in 1992 and 1996. Again, all of this stuff is just alienating the same voters they just lost. There's no purpose to it other than they think that the demographics are going to save them. Demographics don't save you once you decide to blow off half the population, more than half the population. Okay, so now we got to say hello before we go any further. And we have some pretty stunning video coming up and a lot more to talk about, including Trump's infrastructure plans and the continued fallout from what's happening over in Turkey and Russia. But first we have to say hello to our advertisers over at CISO. So CISO.com is the place for comedy. If you are interested in watching comedy, if you're a comedy addict, then CISO.com is for you. Use the promo code BEN, you get 2 free months. They have all of the backlogged episodes of British comedies like The Office and the entire Monty Python catalog. They have all of the backlog of SNL and The Tonight Show starring Fallon, and they have classics like 30 Rock and Parks and Rec. They even have Saved by the Bell. So if you're really into comedy, CISO is the place to be for comedy, and it's $3.99. It's $3.99 a month, so it's super duper cheap, and you get all the comedy that you could ever want out of this. It's definitely a relief at the end of the day because our politics has become very serious of late, and this is definitely a relief. They produce a bunch of their own series as well, by the way. A bunch of original series, some of which are really, really funny. They have some fake reality shows that are really funny. CISO.com is the place to be. $3.99 a month. My wife and I really, really enjoy it. So CISO.com, use that promo code BEN, get 2 months for free. Okay, so again, Democrats are intent on losing 2020 the same way they lost 2016. And so during the Electoral College vote on Monday, you can see how the protesters reacted to Wisconsin electors voting for Donald Trump.
Just sold us out of this world. We're all going to go to war and die because of you people. You have no right. No right. We're all going to go to war and die.
Go to war and die is a crazy lady, probably one of the protesters. One of the protesters who's at my Wisconsin lecture.
Donald J. Trump.
You sold out our country.
Yeah, way to really draw in those voters and really convince people that they were wrong, screaming at the electors whose job it is to just confirm the vote. And then there's this video, which has been making the rounds. This apparently is a Trump supporter being beaten and dragged out of his car. This is going around a couple of weeks ago. Apparently he's okay, but this video has been going around as well.
I believe vote Trump, damn it. You voted Trump! You voted Trump! Oh, yeah! Yeah, he voted Trump! She been still yeah! Oh, y'all vote. I gotta do that to that.
And then you're going to see the new video that was released this week.
Don't vote Trump! Don't vote Trump! Don't vote Trump! In it.
And then there is this guy being dragged alongside the car. Oh, yeah. That is awful. So, yeah, that kind of stuff is definitely going to help win Democrats back their voting base that they lost in this particular election cycle. Also, they can continue to fuss. Keith Olbermann, who has completely lost what was left of his tiny mind, what was not occupied by his kittens and his agriculture degree from Cornell, he's lost what was left of it. And now he is saying that the best way to resist Trump is to never say President Trump. Never say it.
Not using one word can be just as forceful as perpetually using another. Never address Trump as president. He is Trump. Just Trump. Never president. The title of president, that we must protect for a happier and more honest time. Resistance means refusal. Resist. Peace.
He's been reduced to saying single words at a time because he can't speak in phrases anymore as his brain breaks down in front of him. If you think that Republicans are going to be devastated because Keith Olbermann doesn't call him President Trump, Yeah, right. I also remember, don't you remember, when all the Democrats were saying that if you called Obama Obama and not President Obama, it was racist? That was the thing, like very early on in his presidency. If you called him Barack Hussein Obama, if you used his middle name, that was racist. And if you used his last name only, that was racist. You had to call him President Barack Obama or President Obama. But you can do it against Trump, and that is a way to resist. Peace. I'm inside a box. No one knows how to get out. It's amazing. And then Keith Olbermann may, in fact, be the first actual live speaking mime. He's not actually a silent mime. He actually speaks. And finally, you have Robert Reich, the former Secretary of Labor under Bill Clinton, and he has a proposal to stop Donald Trump, and here it is.
A lot of people are analyzing what's going on right now. Not a lot are doing what you did and actually talking about a resistance agenda that talks about getting Democrats in Congress and across the country to pledge to oppose the Trump agenda, to boycotting all Trump products, real estate, hotels, resorts, everything around the world. Can you go through what you're suggesting?
Yes. Amy, generally, I think we do have to regard this as not a normal presidency. Some people say, oh, well, it's just we've had conservative, pompous, narcissistic presidents before. This is not normal. This is really dangerous. And we have to resist. We have to have a peaceful resistance.
So they keep doing this. We have to resist. Okay, your resistance is just tears that Donald Trump will swig at night. The idea that your boycott is going to do anything to the Trump organization is absolute nonsense. He now has the biggest brand on planet Earth. He's the president of the United States. So Robert Reich's boycott means nothing. Also, that you keep hearing Democrats use these sorts of words like, we cannot normalize Trump. We can't just say it's the new normal. We can't normalize him. It's not up to you. It's not up to you. He's going to do what he's going to do. And people are either going to like it or they ain't going to like it. But you don't get to decide what's normal. You guys decided that Barack Obama's behavior as president was normal. You decided that Bill Clinton's behavior as president was normal. You don't get to decide what's normal and what's not. I mean, in your world, it is not normal for a Christian baker to be able to not bake a cake for a same-sex wedding, but it is normal for a 9-year-old boy to be a 9-year-old girl. So you definitely do not get to define normal for me. You definitely do not get to define normal. I'm fine with the idea that Trump does things that are abnormal. But Robert Reich and company do not get to decide what is abnormal and what should be normalized and what should not, because they are so far beyond the pale of what is even reasonable that to have them draw the outer limit of normal and put Trump beyond it is just ridiculous. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our live broadcast at Facebook. But you can go over to Daily Wire and you can check out the rest of the show live. DailyWire.com, become a subscriber, $8 a month. I think that the deal is still on. If you get an annual subscription, you get a free signed copy of my book, True Allegiance, just in time for the Christmas holiday, and you're going to want to be a part of it. We got a bunch of new stuff coming out next year. We've got a store that's coming out. We've got a lot of big things planned for next year for our members. Particularly, become a member at dailywire.com, or you can listen later at iTunes and SoundCloud and view it later at YouTube. We are the largest conservative podcast in America. Needs pretty much no evidence to jump to conclusions. Obama is so careful to avoid spotting fact patterns, he simply omits inconvenient data points. Trump is so eager to spot fact patterns, he simply includes convenient non-data points. But Americans would actually rather have Trump's jump to conclusions mentality than Obama's avoid conclusions at all cost mentality. Trump's mentality may lead to mistakes, but those mistakes are less likely to cost Western lives. So Obama can hawk his faux sophistication on terrorism as much as he wants. If Democrats want to ensure that Republicans continue to win elections, they ought to follow his lead. I'm Ben Shapiro. This is The Ben Shapiro Show. Alrighty, so we are back. Woo! We're back for this shortened Christmas week. Sorry, I was on the road, that last part. But he may as well have. In order to define away the problem of terrorism that has grown dramatically worldwide on his watch, he simply spoke of terrorism as a problem of organized groups within defined territories, which is not how terrorism actually works. Terrorist groups can recruit without formal structures. They can operate as independent cells within various countries. Just 3 days after Obama's statements, an alleged jihadi plowed a truck into a Christmas market in Berlin. The same day, a Turkish terrorist murdered the Russian ambassador to Turkey. These latest attacks are not outliers. In the past several years, we've seen terrorist attacks in Turkey and Germany and Belgium and Great Britain and Canada and Australia, among others. This sort of terrorism isn't relegated to foreign countries, of course. Here's an incomplete list of radical Islam-related terror attacks and attempts on... So, last Friday, President Obama gave his last press conference as commander-in-chief. Yeah. Undeterred by his would-be successor's devastating loss to Donald Trump in the presidential election, unswayed by Republicans' complete domination of Congress, state legislatures, and governor mansions, he maintained his cool and collected self-aggrandizement. Why not? According to Obama, Obama has been a massive success. Perhaps the most hilarious moment of delusion came when he talked about terrorism. He said, over the past 8 years, no foreign terrorist organization has successfully executed an attack on our homeland that was directed from overseas. He then continued, saying no attack had been executed in a rainstorm, with the attacker driving a tractor with one hand, drinking a Miller High Life with the other, wearing a clown nose. To be fair, Obama didn't actually say that. A little bit. There's a picture that's going around of me and Ted Cruz, and we are both laughing at something. I will let you guess as to what it is that we are laughing about. But nonetheless, there's a lot to get to. A lot has happened in my absence. You leave for 2 days, and the world is on fire. Of course, when I'm here, the world's also on fire. Unlike Andrew Klavan, I will not attribute all world events to my absence from the political scene. But we have to begin today by saying hello to one of our advertisers, Texture.com. So Texture, this is a great service, it's a great app, and what it allows you to do is you pay $9.99 a month, and what you get in return is access to over 200 magazines. You get 200 magazines, so you're not paying for a separate subscription to each magazine, because the truth is you don't want to read every article in Time or every article in Newsweek or every American soil under Obama. Shootings of American military recruiters in Little Rock, Arkansas, the massacre at Fort Hood, the Boston Marathon bombing, an attempted bombing of the airport in Wichita, Kansas, hatchet attacks on New York City police officers, attempted shootings at the Draw Muhammad event in Garland, Texas, the attacks on military recruiters in Chattanooga, Tennessee, the massacre at the San Bernardino Inland Regional Center, the Orlando nightclub shooting, the New York and New Jersey bombings, and the Ohio State University car attack, just to name some. Obama still thinks he can cover his abysmal record with closely drawn definitions of terrorism, which is the equivalent of Bill Clinton saying he's been faithful to his wife, except for certain areas, like sex, which is technically true so far as it goes, but it just doesn't go all that far. Americans know that, and they reacted to Obama's consistent lying by omission by electing Trump, a man who